Now, if you've seen this channel before, I don't really think that I'm an average car enthusiast. I'm enthused about cars, but not really the fast ones and performance-y ones. Not that the Bugatti Veyrons that break the sound barrier aren't cool, but I much like to concern myself more with average everyday cars, the car used buying market, and giving advice to people. So one of the questions that I often ask are, what are the cars that I should buy? And of course, I have a variety of cars that I think you should buy for 2025, which is what we're going to cover in this video, and so yeah, let's get into it. First, because of the rise in the price of new cars and the just decreased quality of them, there will be no new cars on this list. These are all used. But watch the entire video, because there may be some of these that really might entice you. That doesn't mean that they're like 19,000 years old. You know, there are a lot of these cars that may entice you to buy used rather than new. And do the same thing our parents did. You see that white Honda, next to the graph? Do what they did. Find a car and lock it in. Lock in, chat, lock in. Just find a car and hug it. Just stick to it like a tree. Never give up. Put money into it. We had a family van. I picked that car for a specific example. We had a Honda Odyssey of that generation. I believe it was the third generation. It was a red. It was like a cheap LX. And we kept putting money into it, putting money into it, until the alternator died and we gave it away. That was one of the biggest regrets that our family ever has, because then we ended up buying a new car, and that thing was even more crap than that thing was. So just, if it's a good car, if it gets you to work every day, if it does what you need it to do, you shouldn't feel ashamed about maintaining your stuff and putting money into your car. Because eventually, it will give it back to you. Now, that doesn't mean that if it's like an Audi A4 with timing issues and CVT and all that crap, give up on that, sell that, dump that immediately. If it's like actually a money pit, get rid of it. But if it just needs, brake pads, oil changes, maybe like a new differential, a while, that happened to one of my SUVs, and instead of, playing hot potato and getting rid of it, I replaced it and I gave in, and guess what? It's been problem-free ever since. Every car has like a big issue that's going to happen. And another thing is, don't fall for it. Don't fall for the Kias. Don't fall for the Hyundais. Don't fall for the Nissans. People do this all the time. They look at the K4. I'm going to make a video on the K4, because the K4, it's blowing my mind how many people love it. Or the Fart, formerly colloquially known as the Forte. Guys, it's the same shit, okay? When Nissan came out with the 2008 Altima, like the base model, with those hubcaps, and that was like the default rental car, it's the same shit, just wearing armor. Don't fall for it, okay? I know everyone wants a new car, and again, there's a difference between cars like these, which is, the Kias, which are designed, they're like a cheap tent. They're designed to wow you once and then never work again, collapse, the metal bends, the sockets don't fit together anymore. They're designed to do that. Just wow you for a little bit of time, $99 a month for a lease, and then it breaks down at crap, you pay for it, and then you get out of it and buy another one. That's what they're designed to do. Same thing that the Nissan Altimas and the Nissan cracked that code a while ago. They're not designed to be reliable. They're not designed to be driver's cars. They're not designed for you to keep them. They are disposable automobiles. And I'm not saying that because of, save the planet, which is a serious concern. I'm saying that because, do you really want to go shopping for a new car again? Now, you may say, oh, well, Quokka, you've said and praised the Mitsubishi Mirage before, and that's a car that a lot of people buy just because it's new. Well, there's a difference between the Mitsubishi Mirage and these cars. The Mitsubishi Mirage is an embodiment of your shitbox, the Geo Metro, the older the 1990s Mitsubishi Mirage sedans. These are the older cheap cars, the Chevrolet Cobalt. I could go on and on. It's the embodiment of all those cars in a modern day form. We need those cars. We love those cars. I'm sure that when people, Gen Z and, God forbid, Gen Alpha start having kids, they're going to be modding these cars and, racing them around and putting turbos in them, and trying to make them look cool, the same way that we're doing right now with, older Mitsubishi Mirages and Honda Civics and crap. Because that'll genuinely be the only car that you can do that with, with all the computers and the lack of technology. These cars are still an embodiment of something that has existed prior, but it's an embodiment of the 2000s cheap rental sedan that's just, no one wants that. No one's like, yeah, I'm going to go out and get a Nissan Altima. My family actually leased one of those back in the day for like $89 a month, something ridiculous, and it was a total piece of crap. We ended up buying out our lease for God knows why. The computer went out, nothing worked, and when I mean the computer went out, I mean the whole thing, engine revving, everything, all down, piece of shit, total crap, had to get rid of it, huge loss, and then that's actually when we ended up buying the minivan, because my family had 3 kids, and I was just like, you want to know what, might as well buy a minivan. But yeah, don't fall for it. Don't get the new Kias thinking that they look cooler, they have CarPlay or everything. Old cars can do what you wanted them to if you just put a little bit more effort into them. So I beg of you, get a decent used car, not a crappy new car with basically the same price, alright? So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 cars that I would get in 2025. In this generation of automobiles, out of all of them, out of the Toyota Corolla, the Honda Civic, all of those, I would have the Subaru Impreza. Now I'm going to tell you why, but, while I'm explaining it, please keep in mind that all of these come standard with all-wheel drive, because that's a big component. Now, like most cars from this era, there is a pre-facelift and then a facelifted version. The facelifted version is most notably realized by that little silver swoosh on the undercarriage, that underside with the fog light. And the pre-facelifted version has those little, triangulated fog light holders. It's essentially just the same thing with a little silver line on it for the updated version. And of course, like any good Impreza, they both have their sedan and hatchback counterparts. Now, out of both of the pre-facelift and facelifted, I would get the facelifted purely because of the interior. Now, we have the facelifted on the left and then unfacelifted on the right, which is kind of weird because we read from left to right, so you'd think I'd put the before. Anyway, the main reason why I would get the facelifted is because, and purely because of the head unit. These are I think one of them is the Sport Touring, and one of them is the Touring for the new one and the Sport Touring for the older one. I'll talk about the trims in a minute. But the main difference is the head unit. Look at the head unit on the facelifted and then on facelifted. There was just a huge jump in quality between the two. I mean, the Touring with the screens on it from the pre-facelifted just looked like something they pulled off the shelf that didn't really fit with their brand, and it's not just branding, it was just not nice, it was kind of crappy, it didn't really fit with the car. The new facelifted version had a much better head unit that was also used similarly in the Outback and a few other models, so I would just go with the facelifted, just to, get that nicer, newer technology. And if you're planning on replacing it, it doesn't really matter either way. Or if you're just getting the standard radio, which is, of course, also fine, there's nothing wrong with that, then, it really doesn't matter too much. So why should you get them in 2025? Well, they're ultra reliable, they have all-wheel drive, so they're actually not bad in the snow. The ground clearance is an issue, but not as much as you're thinking. The interior is very spacious, and some of them even came with leather, which would be very luxurious for having other guests in your car. They're very nice to drive. They're kind of mushy, but, it's a Subaru. It's fine. They're very stylish, and also it's just your classic, cheaper sedan with all-wheel drive as standard, so even if you get the base model, you're still getting plenty of features, and it's a very extremely high-quality car that's proven to be very, very reliable. I have a lot of family members that are just beginning to drive now, and when they ask me what car should they drive, a lot of, what car should they get, I tell them the Subaru Impreza, especially the 4th and 5th generations, because they're very good quality-wise and reliability-wise. So here are the trim levels, with the non-facelifted being on the left. I keep switching it up, and the facelifted being on the right, keeping you on your toes. On the right, in the corner there's also some specs, with the non-facelifted and facelifted versions being compared. They're both the same, even though it makes it sound kind of different. You can look them up, the specs on your own. These are just some pretty basic specs. But yeah, these are the trim levels. Let me kind of go over them with you. So for the non-facelifted Impreza and the facelifted Impreza, they both have the same trim levels. You have the base. The 5-door is relating to the hatchback. The base is pretty good, not bad. You have the 2.0i Premium, because I'm used to saying 2.5 for the Forester, because I just made a video on it. They're pretty good. You get a few more options, not really enough to justify buying it over the base. I would still get the base, but it does have alloy wheels, which is a huge plus. Then you have the 2.0i Limited 5-door and 4-door. That is pretty much where I'd stop. These three, if I had to get one, I would get these three. If I had to get three and anticipate what the average person would get, I would tell them to get one of these three. Because the sports, they're kind of useless. They're just really useless. Unless you really like the design of the wheels, just get a Crosstrek. The Sport doesn't really deliver anything, life-changing. It's the Sport is so much different. The Sport Limited is different than the regular Limited. It's just wheels and the interior and black and just, no one really needs that. So if I had to get three of them, if I had to recommend three for people to buy, and this is facelifted, non-facelifted, and trim levels, I would say if you want something cheap, if you just want a cheap beater, obviously you get the non-facelifted 2.0i 4-door. I'd get the sedan for this one. They're very reliable, they're very cheap, they're dirt cheap. It's almost like people don't know that they have all-wheel drive. They treat them like Corollas. And they're fantastic cars, even though that they have hubcaps, they're really not that bad. Then I would recommend the facelifted 2.0i Premium 4-door or 5-door, because I love the wheels. If you look at the wheels up close, they're very beautiful. They fit with the car. They're some of my favorite wheels of all time on a car. That's personally why I would get that. The wheels are also a big point, because they make the car look a lot better than the 2.0i Premium. I also love the wheels on that. I love the hubcaps on that. I'm a weirdo. I like basic cars. But yeah, I would get it over the base, just because if you hit a pothole, you don't want to have to be chasing down your wheel cover. I mean, I'm playing it up a little bit for the camera. Like, it's not like every single time you hit a bump, all 4 wheel covers just pop off and go rolling onto the side skirts. But, you know, in the snow and stuff, I'd much rather have all alloys that I don't have to worry about. And plus, hubcaps are just a pain in the ass to replace. I mean, it's either you go to AutoZone and you get some, you know, bumpin' stereo, blingy chrome ones that look like crap, or you get the rental car ones with no logo on them that just make the car look doughy and bland, or you shell out $500 on hubcaps.com to get some new wheel covers, which is obviously not an option for most people. And then if I had to recommend another car, it'd be the 2.0i Limited 4-door and 5-door of the facelifted, because the non-facelifted version had that crappy stereo that was just awful. I mean, I'd rather have the radio at that point. Yeah, so I would get, that's personally the cars that I would get. So yeah, if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments and I'll answer them. And I'll answer them the best that I can. But yeah, if you're looking for a small sedan or a small car in general, hatchback or a sedan, I would definitely recommend the Impreza. Now, on to our next car. Okay, let's be real. Everyone knew a Camry was going to be on this list. This isn't the top 5 most interesting cars to buy of 2025. But just because it's not a Jaguar shitbox from 10 years ago that's cheaper than a box of Q-tips doesn't mean that you shouldn't give it a second look. These Camrys are actually fantastic. Now, I can already hear the people that are semi-involved in cars or have watched my previous videos go, but this generation of Camry is known for being terrible with oil consumption and stuff like that. That's why I'm saying the 2011, I would say like 2010 and onward, you know, but before the previous next generation is pretty safe. Not because they changed that much. I've done some research into it. They changed some minor stuff, but not in a way that I think would conceivably help the oil consumption and piston ring problems. But what I will say is that out of knowing, like, several people, like my family has owned every generation of Camry, out of knowing many people that have owned this generation of Camry, it seems to be the 2010s and onward that last the longest. I don't know why. It seems like the 2006 is the first year of the generation, had the oil consumption and piston ring problems the worst, and then they improved with the age of the car. So that is an issue out there, but as long as you're not a moron when you're buying it, like, don't buy it if it's $1,000 and it consumes a quart of oil every 5 miles. You know, don't do that. Don't be a moron. Buy one in good shape, and you should be fine. So why should you buy it? I think we're all tired of the complexity of modern living and modern life. It's the show The Good Place. That's essentially what Saving Humanity and all that. It was a fantastic show. I'm geeking out here. But that show, that's what it was about. Like, human life is too complicated for you to make the right decision every single time. That's why people buy brand new Mitsubishi Mirages instead of used Toyota Corollas. Because they want a car that they're not going to have to worry about that's new, right? It's just something, the baby's on the way, something that they just don't have to worry about. That is the Camry. That is what the Camry is all about. If you just want a car, all you want is a car. It's got 5 seats, there's an engine in the front, there's 4 wheels that somehow the engine connects to in some way that you don't, have to manually shift, that you just want to drive. You just want to drive a car, you want to eat ice cream in it, you want to eat your takeout, drive to work, and then drive home. You just want a car. Get a Camry. It's got everything you want, and the complexity and simplicity of it will amaze you. They're amazing cars. They're fantastic. They drive buttery smooth on the road. They're extremely reliable. The leather is supple. The cheap base versions are ultra reliable. It's genuinely the perfect driver's car. If you like to drive your car, if you want to have a connection with your car, get this generation of Camry, the facelifted version, that is. It's like an appliance, and I don't mean an appliance in the way where you replace it every 10 years, and oh no, the clock stopped working, let me get a new one. Because people like to whine about that on the internet, which I really don't understand. Not in that way. But in the way that your oven, how often do you think about your oven? Not that often. You go into the kitchen and the oven's there, and if you preheat the oven's going to preheat. That's the Camry. You get in the car, you turn on the key, the engine goes vroom vroom, you shift into drive, and the car goes forward. That's what it does. That's its entire job, and it does it better than any other car on the road can do it. That is what Camry means. That is the definition of Camry. So why should you get it? It's one less thing that you have to worry about. One thing that isn't complicated and difficult and mind-boggling that you have to worry about. It's a car. It's always going to be a car, and you don't have to worry about it. That's why you should buy it in 2025. Relieve yourself of some stress, be easy on yourself, and just get something that for once doesn't need your constant attention. Can you tell pamphlets are my main source of information? This is the, how do you want your Camry page from the 2011 Toyota Camry pamphlet. So just to give you a general idea of what they're like and what you can get if you want it. Here's also some specs. I'm going to flash them on the screen, not like strobe, so you don't really have to worry about it, just so that you can pause here, if you want to look at them. But yeah, so let's just go over the colors. I mean, all the colors are fine. I really like the Spruce Metallica and the Sandy Beach Metallic. I would also get the leather. Don't get the black leather. The black leather is for fools. Don't get that. It's too dark. It's ugly. Don't get it. In terms of wheels, all the alloys are pretty safe. If you're getting the LE, I will say I think the hubcaps look better than the Steelies. And the great part about the hubcaps on this Camry is that when you go to AutoZone and you see the cheapy rental car hubcaps, they are these hubcaps. I'm not shitting you. The hubcaps on this car are literally the basis for every single hubcap at AutoZone. You're guaranteed to find it if you just go online shopping. It's like the hubcaps on this car are the default hubcaps, so you're not gonna have that issue finding it. So yeah, I mean, they're pretty basic. All of these are pretty a safe bet. It's fine. But there's one that you should not get. There's specifically one that you should not get under any circumstances. And that is the SE. Unless it's the SE V6, I don't want to hear it. Another thing I don't like is that it just kind of looks like an overinflated Yaris. I mean, look at the wheels. They're practically the same. Not to crap on the Yaris is fine, but the four spokes, the wheels don't look good. It looks overinflated. It looks puffy. It doesn't look fine. Unless it's, take it with a grain of salt, unless it's the V6. But if there's no power upgrade, there's no nothing, if you have like a 4-cylinder SE and a 4-cylinder LE, I would get the LE. I mean, they're ugly, the body kit looks like crap, it just looks like an overinflated Yaris, just don't get it. But with every good version of a car, there's a bad version. I said that backwards. With every bad version of a car, there's a good version. Here's the version you absolutely should get. The hybrid. We love the hybrid. It's like a little mini Prius. If you see a hybrid, get it. They're fantastic. They're reliable. They have more piston ring problems than the regular just Toyota Camrys, but don't let that scare you away from it. If you maintain the damn thing, it's going to be fine. I mean, I had a friend that had one of these that did have the oil consumption piston ring problems. It's not like the car explodes and it's just shrapnel in a million pieces. You just need to put more oil in it and it eats up oil. I mean, less oil comes out during the oil change, so better. It's not great for the health of your engine. In fact, it's pretty bad for the health of your engine. But it's not like the car is unusable. I mean, it's fine. 2 of my cars out there, sitting in my driveway, I'm staring at them from my office window, currently are consuming oil. Not that much, but they are. And honestly, I couldn't care less. Now, if I had to pick which, 3 out of the trim levels, let me give you a reminder. The trim levels are base, LE, XLE 4-cylinder, XLE 6-cylinder, SE 4-cylinder, and SE 6-cylinder. If I had to pick 3 of those, I would pick the LE, because it's a used car. I mean, you really need to get the base. If it was brand new, I'd understand getting the base to save on price. Most people don't even know the difference between the base and the LE, so you might as well get the slightly nicer LE with the alloys. But, the hubcaps look fine on the base too, so don't let me discourage you if there's a base for you in sale. There's really no difference between them. I would get the Hybrid Limited. There's also a Hybrid LE. That's a rare one, but if you can find it, fantastic, amazing cars. And then if you want a driver's car, a luxurious Avalon level, relaxing, easy to drive, easy Sunday morning car, I would get the XLE V6. So these are the cars that I would get. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and let's move on to our next car. When it comes to cars, Toyota is like a kid with ADHD in your classroom. They have the potential to be so good if they care about the assignment. They could just excel so far before any other car company in the world. And they can be so crap when they don't care and they just turn in some crap just to appease you. That's Toyota. And it's very rare that they actually give a damn about what they're working on instead of just crapping out a new Camry. Instead, sometimes they're really into it. They make masterpieces. This is an example of that. All-wheel drive in a Prius. That's right. In 2020, I think it was 2019 and onward, up until the new generation, which you still can, but not as good. You could get all-wheel drive in a Prius. Brilliant. So why should you get this car? Because it's essentially like a best friend in car form. It's always there for you. All it wants to do is make you happy. Now, like any good best friend, it has its flaws. The interior isn't fantastic. Technology-wise, fantastic. You have heated seats high and low on both sides. The infotainment screen at the top on that little thing, it's so advanced. I love it. I wish my 3rd generation had that. I'm actually considering buying one just for that reason. But the steering wheel has that chunky, white, crappy-ass plastic on it, and the shifter is shit, and it's below the screen, and that craptastic, gigantic screen is a total piece of crap, the same as Subaru's, which is the same size, and I think it's a conspiracy theory that they're using the same screen, considering it's the same size and the same crap. We'll ignore that. that. It has its flaws like any good best friend, but it's always there for you. It's perfect. If you want to haul a Christmas tree or something big, or your skis, the back seats fold down. You can put everything in there that you need to. You can leave them down. It'll hold stuff like a minivan. It can be your transportation car. In the winter, when the roads get icy and every other front-wheel drive car is, chattering in their boots, and I lived in this apartment back in Oregon, and I remember helping this lady get out of her parking spot by, get this, and we did this. I mean, this wasn't like jaw-dropping. We had to do this a few times with our minivan. You get rubber floor mats, not to protect the inside of your car, because, we drove a shit car. I mean, who wants to protect the interior of a 2006 Honda Odyssey LX? No one gives a shit. The reason why you buy that is so that during the winter, you can put them under the tires to get traction. I actually had, when she was pressing on the gas, to feed this mat underneath the tire to get the car up out of the parking spot. All the other cars are doing that. This car, it's fine. It's just cruising. It's easy like Sunday morning. It's got everything that you need to be ultra reliable. It's even got little on some of the features, not on all trim levels, but they've got little flaps in the grill that will actually shut the grill off from air if it doesn't need air for more aerodynamic, I think. It's something like that, because I've seen errors about it. But yeah, it's perfect if you have people in the back. It'll hold 4 people extremely comfortably, 5 semi-comfortably. It's not like they're going to be like in each other's business, but it's not going to be super comfortable. It's got plenty of storage spaces for you, and again, it's like the Camry, but more modern and stylish and CarPlay in that. It will always be there for you, All it wants to do is just be a good car. You'll get excellent gas mileage. Sure, it's not a car that you're going to show off to your friends, but, your other friends may be showing you their brand new Kia K4, but when they're on the side of the road, because their craptastic piece of shit just broke down, 2,000 miles after the 40,000 mile, 10,000 bajillion years, whichever comes first warranty. I love those warranties. They're so amazing. It's tempting to buy one, keep it for 10 years, and then just, because they always do that. They always make 1,000 years or 10,000 miles, whichever comes first. Get out of here. When their craptastic CVT fails the 9th time, but the day after the warranty ends, guess who's going to be picking them up? You in your Prius. And sure, when you buy the Prius, you're like, look what I got, like in the crappy little craptastic, what is it? Brochure photos where like holding wine and looking at the car. It's not going to be like that, but you want to know what? The car will always be there for you, and of all your friends, the only thing you're not going to have to talk about with them is your damn car, okay? So just appreciate what you got when you got it. Enjoy the all-wheel drive. Get a car that will be there for you forever. And Priuses age like fine wine. I mean, they really do. I still have my 2nd generation, because of the rust. I didn't get rid of it, if you're wondering, and my 3rd generation Toyota Prius, and they're both doing fine. I have no issues with either of them. I drive them semi-daily. They're perfect. Literally no issues at all. Here is the patented Common Quokka spec sheet for ants, and of course the, how do you want your Prius image from the brochure. Can you tell that I really like auto brochures? So just peruse that at your leisure, and then we'll go over them. Alright, so for trim levels, the L Eco isn't bad, but it's not fantastic either. The main difference is that it doesn't have a rear wiper, and it doesn't have a spare tire even though it has a room for it. For me, that's a deal breaker, so I wouldn't get the L Eco, but if it's much cheaper than the LE, which is probably not going to be, because again, same with the base and the LE difference on the Camry, no one knows what the hell kind of car they drive anymore. They can't tell the difference. The L Ecos will be the same as the LEs in price. Sometimes even the LE Ecos will be more expensive, because people don't know what they have. The LE is fine, the XLE is fine, the Limit is crap because it's got the crappy screen. The LE all-wheel drive E is the ideal, and same with the XLE all-wheel drive E, although I don't think the XLE all-wheel drive E has that crappy large touchscreen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's right there. I don't know if it has it or not, because I've both seen XLE all-wheel drives with the screen and without it from this year, but yeah, and then of course you've got the colors. I really like the seafoam and the tan. The two-tone gets really annoying, but you can just call CAT Skin to just redo your entire leather interior. I'm thinking about doing that for my 3rd generation. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like a nice bisque, that's what I'm thinking. Definitely not chestnut. The car's too trashy for that. Not that, okay, you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that's basically the different ways that you can get your 2019 Toyota Prius. So which 3 trim levels would I recommend you buy? The XLE, because it's very luxurious and it doesn't have the crappy touchscreen. The LE all-wheel drive E, because it doesn't have the crappy touchscreen, at least most of the time. And it's got all-wheel drive, and it's neat. And there's really no major difference between the LE all-wheel drive E and the XLE all-wheel drive E. Just some of the LEDs, and even that's an iffy sometimes. And the LE, because it has a rear windshield wiper, and the L Eco doesn't. I'm getting confused with the Corolla. I know I've done a lot of yapping, but it's time for more! Bring out the olives! Same with the Prius. This came out of the golden age of Toyota, and guess what? Guess what? You'll never be able to guess it. It also has an all-wheel drive variant, but you could probably guess that. But something that you really could have never guessed. Guess how long Toyota's been making all-wheel drive minivans? If you said 2006, and I'm talking about the Sienna, the Previa, and stuff like that, yeah. But yeah, I'm talking about Siennas. At least I believe the first generation definitely didn't have all-wheel drive. 2006. I think it's even 2004. Can you believe that? Every single of that generation of Sienna, I don't know why I couldn't believe that, but I'm like, that generation of Sienna just does not strike me as something like an all-wheel drive car, you know what I mean? That's such a van, you know what I mean? Like, those don't have all-wheel drive, you know? Makes Stow and Go seem really stupid now, doesn't it, Dodge? Anyway, yeah, why should you buy it? There are so many reasons you should buy this car. You can fold down the third row for extra cargo room. You can fold down the second row and it becomes a regular passenger van. You can help your friend move. On the limited, I believe on the XLE and higher models, the rear seats recline. And on the limited premium, they even have a footrest that comes out like a real recliner. The third row has their own passenger air thing. It has a DVD player. It has an HDMI out. Imagine being on a work trip and you convince the other passengers around you to drive the car because you've been driving for a while. You have HDMI right next to your seat, which you can hook up to your laptop and then play videos or music or whatever you want. It even has a plug back there on the rear screen. The driving position is fantastic. The steering wheel is leather wrapped and heated. It has automatic rain sensing wipers on the higher trim levels. On the limited premium, the third row folds down by itself, motorized. You press a button, and it folds flat with the floor. You don't even have to touch it, and it's quick. Power liftgate. It's got every single thing that you want. A Taco Bell run in this at 2 o'clock in the morning hits so hard. It slaps. I went to visit my friend in Washington, D.C. He had one of these. We got Taco Bell at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is the experience that made me love it. Another reason, which is I can't even believe, which I'll share with you in a second. But this is another one. We went to Taco Bell. I got, do you really want to hear my order? Yeah, I know you do. Deprived. I'm joking. I got 2 soft taco supremes, 1 burrito supreme, 1 Mexican pizza, and the cinnamon twists, and then a mango iced tea. And I was chowing down. He got out of the driver's seat, and I had 2 of my other friends with me. He sat in the back. Just left the car running, just left the car idling, turned on the rear DVD player, plugged in his laptop to the HDMI, even plugged it in with the thing back there, and we watched videos, movies, TV, Golden Girls, everything. We basically spent 4 hours in the back of that van just laughing our asses off. It didn't even consume that much gas. I mean, it was idling really low, and I believe it even had the auto on-off thing, so it just kick off and then kick back on like my hybrid does, so we weren't draining the battery. It was fantastic, and I loved it. Another reason, this thing is fast as shit. I don't know if you have ever been in Washington, D.C., but it is really crowded. There was this one example where there was a ramp. It was like an on-ramp, and guess what it said? No merge zone. You had to pull off the highway onto this on-ramp, onto another ramp, and you had no merge area. There was no merge lane. Your lane merged with the other lane instantly. You had to make sure that there were no cars there, and you had to floor that thing. And when I mean to you that this car was fast, I mean it was fast. I was being rushed up against the side of the car. I was being pushed back in my seat. I was hitting the door. And that car handled so fantastically. He was weaving in and out of traffic. There was barely any body roll. I never felt scared for anything in that car. He put the seats all the way back. It was fantastic. He was flooring that car, just flooring it, giving it the beans, and that car was so fast. I have a list of cars that are faster than this. His 0 to 60 time was 7.0 seconds. I don't think you realize how quick that is compared to other cars. This minivan is quicker than the Subaru Outback, the Toyota 4Runner, the Honda HR-V, the Nissan Kicks, the Toyota Camry, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, the Nissan Rogue, the Mazda Miata, the Chevrolet Trailblazer RS, the Mitsubishi Outlander GT, the Hyundai Venue Denim, and the Hyundai Elantra Limited. Those are the cars that this car is faster than. This car is fast. I don't mean in the, like a supercar way, where that can be pretty entertaining and sometimes it's oh yeah, I'm going really fast. This thing is super fun to drive. He let me do that thing. I gave it the beans, and you want to know what? That V6, it just went. It had all-wheel drive too. A 4-wheel peel directly out of the stoplight. This car is brilliant, to the point where I'm considering getting one. I know, I'm considering getting 9,000 million cars. Call me a regular, boring car enthusiast, and I somehow even break the bank on that. It's amazing. Seriously, you need one of these. They're fantastic. So let's go over trim levels and options, shall we? So there are different trim levels here, and when I mean this van is a van, I mean the base model, the L, doesn't even have power rear sliding doors. That sounds so entitled of me to say. You would be shocked how entitled people are when looking at a car. If the base model doesn't have CarPlay, they'll pretend like it's like a Geo Prism or something. I mean, this car it's the perfect mix. if you want, you can have no power rear doors, just the most basic car that you can ever want, no four-wheel drive, just your basic everyday average van, like our old Honda Odyssey LX, which the horse has twitched a little bit, so I still need to beat it a little bit more. And also, they're just fantastic. You can also have the Limited with the premium package. Now, if you get the all-wheel drive, you can't get the power third row because, all-wheel drive, that's kind of how the all-wheel drive stuff is there. But that's also a fantastic option. You get the bare-bones van where you can just drive it, you can give it the beans, you can do whatever you want, you can just really slosh it around, really give it the business. Or you can get the more luxurious version, the Limited. He had the Limited, and it weaved through traffic just fine. They're excellent vans. They're fantastic. They're very comfortable. They're very reliable. They're very luxurious. So which ones would I have? Personally, he's had the saddle brown interior. I prefer the lighter one, like the bisque. The three versions that I would get is the L, because again, manual rear door sliding, isn't it so much fun just to grab on that handle and just... And even if it says that you can turn off the power doors, like most minivans now, they have a switch where it's like power doors on or off, you're still not going to be able to slam it as hard as you can with one with no motor. Like, there is nothing hooked up to that. You have to slam it. You can grab that handle and rip it as hard as you want. Treat it like a delivery van, and she'll be fine with it, and I love that about it. Don't get the SE. The SE is useless, but it does kind of look cool, so I can't blame you if you get it. Limited, I personally hate the Limited Premium. Who would want a power third row? And it's got a bunch of other, rain sensing wipers. That doesn't make sense for me, but I would get the all-wheel drive Limited, and then the all-wheel drive XLE. Those are the two that I would get personally because I think those are some of the best minivan wheels ever, as well as the L and LE wheels. I also really like those. Again, boring person. So yeah, let's move on to our next car and wrap up this video, which is what I was, I'm sure you've been hoping me to do for the past billion years, or 31 minutes and 28, 29, 30 seconds. This probably shook you a little bit, but out of all luxury cars that were for sale or are ever going to be for sale, this one is my absolute favorite. It's got true heart. You've got storage. Look at all that storage space in the back. And there's no third row either. That's there all the time. There's also fun accessories that Volvo sells aftermarket from Volvo OEM Parts Online. You can get a Doge separator that fits into the headrests. See? You can separate two Doges at the same time. That's double Doge protection. They've got so much heart. They've got so much storage. And if you get the T6 V6, which was only available for the first, 10 years or so, it has a 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds. Here's some other cars. This is going to make you shit your pants that it's faster than. The VW Jetta R line, the Hyundai Elantra N line, the Kia Forte, Kia Fart, I wrote it as Fart, the Kia Fart GT line, and the Nissan Optima, the Nissan Altima. It's so crappy I didn't even write it right. SR. Yeah, those are all when you think of a modern day sporty sedan or saloon, whatever the hell you call it, that's probably what you think about, like the VW Jetta R line. A lot of people like that. It's faster than all of those. This car is fast if you get the right engine. It can be slow if you get the 5-cylinder, which I think it was available with. It's all reliable. And another thing that I need to mention is that a lot of people will slander the XC70 and saying, "Oh, this is the same as those VW Touaregs." Mechanic Wizard, what is his name? The wizard guy. He worked on that guy's Prius that he put a nitrous in. I forgot his name. Car Wizard or whatever. I think that's his name. He owns a luxury repair shop. Those cars that you see, the VW Touareg, where the clock, spline, shaft, ooken, booken, fuken, R-Line, Ultimate, Super Autobahn, tuned suspension, Ultimate, Phantasmo, port fuel injection, fantastic CVT, rubber band, maintenance needing, chair has gone out and it's going to cost $50,000 and they're scrapping it and selling it to someone else and double it and give it to the next person. Those cars, this is not that. Volvo is different from that. This isn't one of those shitty German cars. Seriously, you're doing all that for an Audi or a Volkswagen. Can you just give that up? No one wants that. No one wants that headache. This is not a car where you worry if it's going to start. These cars are bred. They are designed to be durable. On a cold day, these cars are designed to start. There is a difference between Swedish engineering and German engineering. This is not a German car. Technically, it's semi-American because it's Ford and Ford and Ford and Ford and Ford. But Volvo actually improved under Ford. You know, we got the S40 and the V50. I digress. These cars are excellent. They're fantastic. They'll always start. They'll always be reliable. They're always there when you need them. They're fantastic. They're very, very fast if you get the correct engine. They're fabulous. They're reliable. They're super, amazingly, fantastically luxurious. But there is an issue. Volvo, they're Swedish. They can't help but change everything. They just keep changing it. So here's a montage, and I'm going to explain to you of every single change that they've made from 2008, which is the second generation, all the way till when they stopped making it of 2017. Because it seems like every year they change something, and when I went shopping for mine, it gave me a headache. How much stuff, like every year is essentially different. Like they just couldn't stop touching it. So I'm going to give you an example of that and every single change that they made, so you can find the sweet spot. You know, how old and or how new do you want it to be? Alright, this was the original 2008 version. It's got the Volvo S80 V8 interior. Assume this is the car unless I tell you otherwise. So let's begin into the changes that they made. In 2010, they added an upper screen now that was standard on most of them. You can see it right there next to the gauge cluster. That's what they added in 2012. In early 2014, they changed the interior to have a digital dash. Now, the only major difference to the outside that they made in late 2014 is the little loops around the fog lights, so look at them very carefully. They changed the closed loops for open loops. This is Volvo's idea of a facelift, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Before, depending on the trim level, you would get either the 4-spoke or the 3-spoke, which is really still a 4-spoke, just they're moved down a little bit steering wheel. They made the 3-spoke the standard and got rid of the 4-spoke in 2015. They also got rid of everyone's favorite, the T6 V6. This was the last year that it was available. So for 2016, they changed the T6 V6, and in 2017, they got rid of the car entirely. So there you go. That's a pretty good update log for you. Now that I look at it, I guess it really isn't that crazy, but when you're trying to shop for it, and they only made it from 2008 to 2017, which I guess is pretty much 9 years, but every single different year has something weird and different about it, and the powertrains are different and everything, it gets annoying after a while. Alright, and then here are the stats for it, if you're wondering. Here you go here. The 0 to 60 time for the T6 V6 was 6.5 seconds. 6-7. So, there you go. Well, I hope this video gave you an idea of a new love for cars, a new lease on life, right? Don't get a car that you're going to lease and then eventually throw away. Find a connection with the car. Find a car that you love. Find a car that you want to keep. Find a car that you want to listen to Elton John at 3 o'clock in the morning and count the headlights on the highway as you're driving home. Find a car that you want to live with. Find a car that you like, that the preferences you like, the options that you like. For me, I happen to fall in love with several different cars. The Toyota Sienna, the Toyota Prius, the two generations, second and third, my Volvo XC60, and of course my Toyota RAV4. I've fallen in love with all those cars. I love them. I love to drive them, and I keep putting money into them because, for me, it's worth it. Find a used car that you love and hold on to it for dear life. Because remember, in the end, there is no cheats. Sure, some of the YouTube shorts will be like, you've never heard about this Aston Martin that can actually save you $50,000 off of a brand new Giulia. Okay, it's all crap. None of it is actually Giulia. All of it in it's Alfa Romeo, not Aston Martin. Anyway, it's all crap. None of it exists. Nothing comes for free. There is no free lunch, okay? So just give it up, pick something that you like, and hold on to it for dear life as we wait for this current social situation, and economy to change. Find a car that you love, hold on to it tight, and don't let go. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I hope that you enjoy watching my videos. Subscribers, I know I'm not always the most there with posting videos, but someday I truly believe that this channel will turn into something great. We could be the next Top Gear. How would it feel like maybe buying or renting 3 cars and doing challenges with them? Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be so much fun? I need the support from you guys, and I'm working as hard as I can. And I think that what we have is special in that we like average, ordinary, everyday cars, and that our advice maybe matters to normal people a little bit more than car enthusiasts' advice, who would tell them to buy, like a 350Z, even though they've got 6 kids, and they don't really get a minivan because minivans are boring. You know what I mean? So thank you for being along for the journey, and thank you for all the love and support that you've given me over the years, or year.